Can you hear me?
All right, Martha, I got you.
Okay. Oh, you're unmuted. Okay, great.
Yeah. If you want to go back on mute until we start.
Can you hear?
Tom, you're pretty dark there.
I'm moving fast. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I know that thing was crazy.
Is that you, Tom?
Yeah, that's me.
You got a light there?
Purposely blacking out.
Is that you, Mike? Is that you, Mike, or no? Somebody. I got blank numbers. Oh, maybe. No, I'm not reading.
I should just,
Yeah.
we don't want people commenting.
You know what, Lee? You'll be calling in, commenting.
Yeah, my name.
They do. We were 12 feet apart with us Wednesday, they were commenting.
If I faint with this thing on.
If you want.
I took CPR in college. That was a very long time ago.
15 to 2.
Hey,
I don't know if I feel confident.
We're gonna have to do the 2 breaths anymore. Just give me compression.
Hey,
just for the record, I don't do mouth to mouth.
Yeah, actually, they say that you don't even have to do that anymore. Just compression.
He's making it very clear he wants none of us to do mouth to mouth on him.
No.
are we on? No.
Oh, God.
I hope
We
not.
I
on?
hope not either. Oh, my
Yeah, we are live.
Okay.
God. Oh, my God. Oh, boy.
Waiting for Mike to come in. I think we're ready.
Yep,
I think we're ready to go.
Yep.
We'll work on Mike. Maybe Jeremy can text him or something. See if he's in. We're ready to go? Live stream's good? Maureen, we're good? Okay, we're going to call the order the regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Goshen Central School District for Monday, August 17th, 2020. Due to an abundance of caution and with regard to the spread of COVID-19, and in accordance with the Governor Cuomo's March 12th Executive Order 202.1, today's meeting is being live streamed through Zoom and YouTube and in person at Main Street in Goshen, New York. Next on the agenda will be the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of meditation. Please think of Bonnie Miller, a retired custodial worker for the district. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all.
reopening of the district, which Superintendent Connor will give an update on tonight. Received an email from Goshen Against Racism team with some questions. Superintendent Connor has a response to that we'll address. We have some things coming up next meeting,
That's
I
correct.
believe.
Yes.
And basically the goal of our Board of Education and our administrative team as well is to provide a healthy and safe learning environment for everyone. So any group or peer person that feels that the district needs to address an issue, please contact Superintendent Connor to discuss, so he can discuss with the board in the future. And we look forward to the September 2nd meeting.
Thank you.
Part of that email also was a question about our superintendent search, which is a good segue for us. The question was regarding providing an open opportunity for everyone. And as we've stated earlier, the board hired a outside independent search firm to assist us in this process. The application process will be open to everyone. Everyone currently has the chance to participate in the profile of the superintendent search, new search. That is on our website. I encourage everyone to fill that out. As of this morning, we were around 850 to 900 responses already. So I encourage everyone to fill that out and help us out. We're confident that we'll have a nice open search and a broad range to select from. So we're looking forward to that process. Also, for the board member interviews for superintendent search process, heard from the search firm today. They'll be looking to set up the interviews in early September, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. They have a new software program they're using to help you dial in and contact them and pick a time. It's called Calendly, C-A-L-N-D-Y. They just purchased the software. They want to use it with us. So I said, sure, we'll try it out with them. But just mark that on your calendars, 1st, 2nd, or 3rd of September. I think the times will be between like 5 and 7, somewhere along there. Whichever day of their time and day works for you, just you'll be able to sign up for that. I'll keep you updated as we go along there. We also talked about, Jeremy asked about further communication with the overall community. I think people have gotten the communication about the search through our emails and our SSN. So Maureen and Christina we were talking or emailing today, and we're looking at possibly doing a postcard with the information about the search and where they can access the link, or if they need a paper copy, they can obtain it right outside our door here. So more information to come there, hopefully in the next couple of days. And Christina also, when talking with her and Maureen and Tom, when we talked last, and I think Martha had brought this up earlier about a brochure. We're thinking along the lines of more of a digital brochure. And Christina Gore even mentioned a video about our district for prospective applicants. All part of her services, no extra cost. So she is working with her colleagues to come up with some ideas and concepts to bring back to us. And I think we'll be able to put it right with the digital application. And I think also we'll be able to post it to our page in case anybody's looking at it. So that's the update on the superintendent search. Concludes my report. Next on the agenda is the legislative update. Martha.
I really don't have anything to add at this point. Albany is still waiting to see what the federal government will do in relation to aid. So I will keep you posted.
Thank you, Martha.
Okay, is Tom on?
I had him.
Knocked off.
No, I lost him. He was there before. Wasn't great quality video, but tell me he's not on right now. Next on the agenda is the superintendent report, Mr. Connor.
All right. Thank you, President Pucci. Members of the Board of Education, just a quick update that We've had an outstanding response, questions from the community. Mr. Carter and I did meet with the community here in the boardroom last Wednesday the 12th. We plan to meet again on the 19th and 20th. On the 19th, I will be joined by a number of people who I know in the transportation, food services, buildings and grounds, our nursing services. There's a lot of good points that they will bring to the table. I think will be extremely helpful to the public out there. Once again, depending on the time, I'll be back on answering, addressing questions along with Mr. Carter. And I hope that, understand that probably not going to get all the questions in the next two sessions, but certainly we will continue to look at those questions. Christina Gore, our public relations person, is taking those questions after we provide the answers, and she will be placing them on our website. So we want to keep you in the loop on that. Don't become frustrated if I don't answer your question. I apologize. But I think we have 400 or 500 more waiting for us, and I will do the very best we can to try and group those and make sure that we answer as many as possible. Just a little bit about the calendar. I'm pleased to announce that I did have an opportunity to pull together with a team of people what looks to be the school calendar for the first 4 or 5 weeks. I will be getting that out to the public tomorrow morning with some other important points of information. So please look for that information. I do fully understand that the vast majority of people would like to see their children, all of them in school all the time. I also have great respect and understanding for those that see the danger or feel the danger of having their children come to school, dealing with COVID-19. So I will certainly, I'll take those things all into consideration, but I do understand this is not going to be something that it's an impossible task to make everyone happy. So understand a tremendous amount of thought and consideration has gone into this plan. I appreciate the support that I received from not only our administrators, but also our teaching association as well. So stay tuned for more on that. We'll roll that out tomorrow. Next, Heather Hendershot, thank you for joining us tonight. You can hear us, Heather?
I can.
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. Heather, if you would at this time, I know that you forwarded me some information and I've looked at it. It's a real great program. I also want the community to know before you start this, but we are truly keen and in tune to the fact that our students and our faculty, certainly this is coming back, are going to be dealing with a lot of anxieties and stress. So we're cognizant of that, and we're going to be mindful of that. And certainly some of the programs I know that you've talked about, we want to continue to roll out. But as we get into the opening of school, we'll put those plans and strategies in place. But thank you, Heather, for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. So this evening, I just wanted to share with you one of the programs that we will be implementing at Scotchtown Avenue School. As you know, we have a new social emotional learning classroom that we developed that will be beginning in September. And these students are currently in first and second grade. And when we looked at this program and recognizing just the emotional fragility of the students within this class, we wanted to bring in a program that we felt would be appropriate to meet their needs, but also that we would be able to incorporate some academic curriculum into it as well. So it could all be woven together and a part of the fabric of that classroom on a daily basis. And my goal is, as we implement it within this classroom, if we're finding that it meets with success, I would eventually like to expand it out to the other classrooms. But I think it's important we have a controlled group first to see how these students respond, as well as the staff members with the training, before we roll it out to the general population. So the program that I'm going to be talking to you about this evening is the Ruler program. And it is an evidence-based approach to social emotional learning that comes from the Yale Center of Emotional Intelligence. And I think it's important to note too, just to give some credit, my assistant director, Alyssa Marino, brought this to my attention. I had heard about it, but she really did a lot of the legwork for finding out what this program is. And together we contacted the company and set up some informational calls just to get some more information. So I do want to give her some credit too, because she's worked very hard with me to make this class a success. So the Ruler program is, as I said before, it's an evidence-based approach to social emotional learning. And it really looks at it's supporting the entire school community. And in this case, within this classroom, and understanding the values of emotion, building on emotional intelligence, creating and maintaining a positive social climate. Because as you know, the research says that emotions can influence attention, memory, learning, creativity, physical and emotional, physical well-being, the ability to be able to maintain healthy relationships. And it also impacts academic and workplace performance. So this program really encompasses so many things that we feel is important for our school community. So within this program, as I mentioned before, it's called Ruler, and I'm going to use my notes just to make sure I have it right as far as what the acronym stands for. But the Ruler is for recognizing emotions in oneself and others, understanding the causes and consequences of emotion, labeling emotions with nuanced vocabulary, expressing emotions in accordance with cultural norms and social context, and regulating emotions with helpful strategies. So within this program, skills are developed and worked upon for the students so that they are able to communicate what it is they're feeling in real time, how to adapt, how to adjust, and be the best that they can be in the school setting. There's several tools that are used in this program. It really starts with getting the students working as a community, developing what's called a charter, which is creating agreed upon norms for how people feel and want to feel, and how students can help each other to experience those feelings within the setting. There's something that's called a mood meter, which enhances self and social awareness and supports the development of nuanced emotional vocabulary, and provides a wide range of strategies for regulating emotion. In addition, there's also a blueprint that comes with the program too, for supporting the development and empathy, for resolving conflict resolution, and developing those skills to be able to relate to peers and adults within the school setting. So what we in particular liked about this program is that there's several levels of the program. There's an early childhood part of the program. There's Ruler for elementary school, Ruler for middle school, and Ruler for high school. And at the elementary level, the program consists of 18 units or lessons, and that includes 45-minute lessons per unit. And each unit is completed over a span of 2 weeks. So the units focus on concepts and applications the first couple of weeks of just exactly what the program is, but then it moves on into the other components of the program, specifically focusing on emotional vocabulary and emotional regulation, some of the things that I had mentioned before. Another positive about the program is that it integrates seamlessly with any other type of program that we have. So if we're utilizing PBIS, it supports the PBIS program. It works with overlapping some of the methods and skills in the other program, but it also provides a consistent vocabulary to be used across the board. And finally, what we also really like, there's so many benefits to the program, but what we really like too is that there's a family engagement and education portion to the program. So the content of the program will support families to assist with, what we're seeing in school or what parents are seeing at home, and kind of bridging that communication between school and home. So the purpose is to get the families engaged into the program as well as the students. So we would all be working collaboratively together in the program. What the first steps are is, of course, the initial contract and contact with the company. We've identified several staff members from Scotchtown, myself, Alyssa Marino included, that would be trained in the program. And with that comes coaching, professional development. And then from there, the coaching continues on into the classroom to be able to implement all of the components of the program into this program. So it is on the agenda tonight for approval. Our hope is that it will be approved and we'll be able to set up a training that will be probably in October. We have already alerted Yale that we, are working remotely, as are they. So they're very flexible and will work with our schedules so that we can keep to limiting the amount of time that's lost, perhaps within the classroom. Our goal at this point is to possibly do this on Wednesdays during professional development so that all of the staff can be trained and little time is lost. So that is the program in a nutshell. Does anybody have any questions?
I got one question.
Thank you, Heather.
You're welcome.
Question I have, Heather, is.
I just have a quick question, Heather.
Go ahead, Mike.
The family engagement piece, how would that be structured? I know you have 3 different levels, so you have the elementary, the middle school, and the high school. Does that, the family structure piece, does that include each one?
So in each section, it would be, so there would be a family engagement for each level, but I believe that there's also overlap too, so that if there are students who are in the elementary and middle school, maybe in the same family, that it's a team approach with the staff members. At this point, it would just be at the Scotchtown. So we would be networking with the parents of the students who are in the classroom at Scotchtown. But yes, it does expand out through team meetings. There's also through our training that we will receive. We'll have professional development for parents as well. But I wouldn't anticipate that that piece of the program would come out until our staff has been trained and it's started to be implemented into the classroom. So I would think that that piece would probably start around the November, December time.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
My question, Heather, is initially we're rolling out in just one building, or is it all 4 buildings? Just
So
the
initially this was for the Scotchtown Avenue, the social emotional learning class. And as I had mentioned before, we do have staff that are going to be trained, the school psychologist, the school social worker, the teacher of the classroom, and the teaching assistant, myself and Alyssa Marino. Once that initial training takes place, and I think we get a better idea of the program and how it works, if it is successful within the class, I really would love to be able to expand it. But I think because we're going to have the psychologist and social worker trained, they're going to have some of those skills that even though they're working with that class, they'll be able to take those skills and work with other students that they see on a regular basis. So it's kind of like a little trickle down effect per se, until we have staff that are fully trained within the comprehensive program.
So the 8,000 for the school year is just for the initial training, basically?
It's for the initial training and for the coaching throughout the year.
Coaching throughout the year. If we were to expand it to other buildings, is it like 8,000 per building, or is it like a one-time cost, or?
To be honest with you, I would have to look into that. I don't know if it would be at a different rate because we're already have staff members trained. There's also a train the trainer piece too. So we could have a cohort of staff members that we may want to get trained into this. And then we would turnkey it to our staff. So we wouldn't have to continue to have Yale come in to do that.
Right, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, that concludes my report, President Pucci. Thanks again, Heather. We'll see you soon.
Next on the agenda is the Assistant Superintendent for Business Report, Louise Lynch.
Good evening. I have a couple of items to update you on. The first is tax collection. You have the warrant and the levy before you tonight. And I'm pleased to report that really the rates are relatively similar to what we discussed during budget time. As you know, there are several factors that impact the rates. One is equalization, and the other big factor is assessed values. And we have, I'll tell you the largest swing compared to the smallest. Hamptonburg taxes actually went down while Wallkill went up. And Goshen, which is the largest part of our levy, is right around where we expected it to be when we discussed it during budget development. The FEMA application is the next item on my report tonight. And we've spoken about this and we will continue to speak about this. There is an enormous amount of training and record keeping, but it certainly is something that we're tracking and we're doing. We are going to do a one-time application, which allows us to submit periodically. There is no end date to it at this time. So we are continuing. We tracked expenditures last year. We're tracking them this year. Once we've gone through all of the boxes that need to be checked in order to submit the grant, we do have a grant number. Right now, we're just coordinating the data and really taking a good hard look at everything that is COVID related expenditure-wise. So I'll continue to update you on that. The other item that requires a lot of paperwork and some funding is the CARES funds. And it's interesting because I realized I didn't explain this the last time we spoke about this. When we got our state aid run in, I believe it was March, the second run, you remember there was some kind of federal adjustment and they called it something different. I don't want there to be any confusion. This is indeed the same funding that is that federal funding. And initially there was an August 15th deadline and they've realized how extensive the structuring and the requirements of this are. And the state has extended that deadline to August 31st. Based on how we go about this, we may actually see some more extensions there. Again, a lot of record keeping, we're on top of it. We're certainly not losing sight of any financial opportunities here. The next item on my report tonight is a financial update. I am pleased to report that we closed out the fiscal year for 1920. And we had unspent funds, not what we normally do, but of course, COVID and other unanticipated expenditures generated a little bit less than we normally have, but we were able to tuck some funds away as we had anticipated when there was a recommendation put before the board. And there's about $1.9 million left. And we put that into the 3 reserves that we spoke of. One of those was unemployment. I was very concerned about rising unemployment costs. As you know, we don't have a lot of funds budgeted for that because it's not the norm to be having significant unemployment reimbursement. We also put some funds, reserved some funds in the capital reserve for future capital projects and the pension costs based on market volatility. So I think that that is all as good news as we could get given the circumstances. The next item on my report you have before you tonight is a food service budget. generally we have a presentation and we have our food service director and he talks about what happened during the year, good things, bad things, things that we want to look at going down the road. And we are still thinking that we'd like Al to have a presentation at some point. But at this point, we just wanted to provide you with the budget that we've put in place. It doesn't require voter approval, but I feel like it's relevant and important for you all to see this. So the budget increased over the 1920 budget by $64,000, which is about a 4.6% increase. Couple of the drivers to that, and this seems like it was so long ago, but when minimum wage rates increased, we recognized that we needed to increase our hourly employees to retain them. So that's one of the drivers there. Other than that, it's really a pretty status quo budget. Next item on my agenda, sorry, I've added one more, is as a result of completing the internal audit, I do have a draft and I'll be sending that to you shortly. We've tightened it up. This is about the audit we had from the internal auditor relative to HR and payroll and making sure that we are paying people and docking their time in accordance with the collectively bargained agreements. So I'd like to ask that you coordinate a audit committee meeting, maybe one of the next 2 Mondays. We can do it virtually. We can put something together, but I just want to let you know we are ready to schedule that. And then the last item on my list is the state aid update. And Martha, I find it interesting, like you do, that the state hasn't released anything about this, because this was initially information that came from our governor, those measurement periods and 20% potential reduction in state aid. And late on Friday, the district pays for a service. It's called Quest Our State Aid Planning. And they do a lot of detailed work on analyzing pending legislation, things that are coming down. They look at all the school districts throughout the state. And I received a very casual email letting me know that 20% of all of our aid was now being held. And they were looking into this. What I didn't hear is if we'll get it, if it's a permanent hold. We got just very limited information. So I wanted to share that with you all. At this time, we are quantifying what that looks like, and we'll have more information as we learn more. But it is the first indication that there is indeed going to be aid withheld. I'm hoping it just is postponed or delayed, but I don't have any more to share with you than my email. I don't know if there are any questions, but I'm happy to entertain any questions you may have about any of those topics or anything else.
Okay, I got a couple, Louise. The financial update and our reserves, do you have a breakdown between those three?
Yes, I do. We put 150,000 to the unemployment reserve. And that will take it to 322,000. Our last quarter, by the way, was about 45,000. So hopefully that's not going to continue, but that could potentially be $200,000 in a year. The pension reserve increased by 251,000, which brought it from about 900,000 to 1,150,000. And the capital reserve went from 2.5 million to just under 4 million. And I just want to remind you, because we have so many challenges this year, and this one, it's certainly not fallen off the radar, but it doesn't seem quite as pertinent as some of the other challenges. But we do have a building conditions survey that's due this year. And I fully anticipate that they'll identify some areas, some systems that may need upgrading. So it's comforting that we have some money set aside, because the last thing we want to do is be trying to, increase taxes. So I'm sorry, Martha, you had a question?
I'm sorry. I just had a question about something you said. Is this the appropriate time, or do you want to finish and then I'll ask the question?
I'm just fielding questions.
Well, about the 20%, we had kind of gotten the feeling that we were going to, that there was a discussion about a mid-year, maybe holding 20%, but now they're holding it back. And of course, they're collecting interest on our money while they're holding it back. But is this one and the same, or hopefully not getting two?
I would
Mid-year?
love to be able to definitively answer your questions, but what I suspect is that given what happened with COVID, the state budget ends in March. I suspect that they may not have the money to give us the money. Maybe they're going to be doing a RAN or a TAN or whatever the state does, because they too have a balanced budget. But what I heard at different times last school year as we were in budget development is they may withhold some money from 1920. No, you just heard me say we've closed our books. You know, we're modified accrual. So we've counted the revenue we expected to get because we just heard this Friday. So I can't definitively answer your questions, but I can tell you this is high on the list of priorities and I will continue to monitor it. I do suspect that the state is still trying to get money from the federal government. And at some point they're going to have to meet, maybe not in the middle, but they're going to have some type of negotiation there. I heard, 3 different measurement periods, and I heard it could be a potential 20% reduction this year. The state hasn't released anything. So we're really left with trying to analyze what little information we have. And this just came out Friday late in the day. And the state's still not released anything. I mean, I haven't seen anything in the paper either. But so as much information as I have, I will be sharing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Louise, can we go to September 2nd for the audit committee?
I'm gonna reach out to her and confirm that that's a good day. Is that, I'm sorry, I'm not looking at a calendar. That doesn't happen to be Labor Day, does it?
No, that's Wednesday.
Is that our next board meeting?
Labor Day is the 7th.
Okay, thank you.
That's our next
Labor
board
Day is
meeting on the
7th.
2nd. And after that,
I got a quick question. Mo, do we have to tour the schools this year? Because that's usually when we tour.
We've been doing like,
we've been rotating them.
it's been rotating.
Right, but if we do that, can we do the audit meeting?
Can we go to the 21st of September? Or is that too late?
I can certainly ask. My fear is this is an audit company and they might be doing external audits. But so if you'd like, I can ask for 9/21. How about, is it any chance I can get 2 dates?
Yeah, 9/14 is the second one.
Yeah, either 9/14 or 9/21. 9/21 first, then 9/14.
Okay, 6 p.m.
Sure.
Okay.
Is that convincing?
Yes, it was.
Any other questions for Louise? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next on the agenda is the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum, Instruction, Personnel, and Technology Report, Mr. Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Tucci.
I'm going to bring this over to you because we might be getting the stream right through here.
Good evening, everyone. So just a few updates as we continue to prepare for our hybrid and remote learning models. Currently, we are working with the NERIC, which is the Northeast Regional Information Center, to acquire COVID-19 screening attestation program. It is a web-based tool that we are looking to subscribe to through a cross contract with the NERIC, as I had mentioned. This will allow us to have employees, parents, on behalf of students themselves, and guests to our buildings to log on and answer 4 simple questions in an effort to screen any potential visitors and also assist with contact tracing. As I had mentioned, the questions are very simple. There is no personal health data collected. An example would be, do you have any of the following symptoms, or have you had any of the following symptoms? Have you tested positive for COVID-19 within the last 14 days? have you traveled internationally or to an area with widespread COVID-19, et cetera. We will ask for this to be completed daily, and based on the responses that you provide on the web-based program, you will receive a response letting you know whether or not you are able to enter the facilities. Again, our vision is to also utilize this for students. So we would eventually get to the point where we ask for this web-based program to be utilized first thing in the morning prior to leaving the home. Another program that we're looking into currently is eHall Pass. This program is also a web-based app that would be utilized within our buildings. The primary purpose of this program is for our students to actually request a pass while they're in class, knowing that they'll all have some workstation in front of them, whether it be Chromebook or even a mobile device. And they will be able to request a pass for something as simple as using a restroom. The benefit is for our teaching staff and our hall monitors, student supervisors to realize what the capacities are as we do adhere to social distancing requirements. So this will make travel within the building safer. We'll be able to monitor the spacing and also stick with capacity limits that are set by our administrative team and our director of buildings and grounds. One last thing, I just wanted to mention this also provides touchless passes. So there's no need for paper passes. There's no need for anything else that may be utilized as a pass. So again, just assisting us in monitoring the facility and also providing safety. Just want to thank John Rediker and Jim Sterrett for all their help in reaching out to vendors. Certainly continuing to acquire programs that adhere to Ed Law 2D as well. Just wanted to mention that our webcams that we have ordered are in and the installs are underway. We've also issued the purchase order for 200 Bluetooth headsets that will be utilized by our teaching staff, which will better allow them to communicate with students that are in the hybrid model at home receiving remote instruction. So we're very happy to report that. Just a few other items here. We continue with our Ed Law 2D compliance initiatives. It is a large undertaking, but again, I just want to thank Dr. Voloshin for all of his efforts, in addition to some of Jim Sterrett's clerical staff. And of course, all of that is in addition to the efforts put forth by Jim Sterrett and John Rediker as we move forward with Ed Law 2D compliance. Currently, everything that we brought forward recently is compliant. Anything that I continue to present to you, especially through any of our BOCEs, is compliant. However, we still do have many, many outstanding items to gain compliance for, somewhere in the range of 200 plus programs. And we will continue to do that so we can continue to utilize some of the tools and programs that our teachers really do favor. As mentioned in the past meetings and even earlier this evening, we are continuing to look into a one-to-one initiative for Chromebooks, which would involve a collection and then also a redistribution. So that is in the works. I will continue to work with Mr. Connor and the building level administrative team to organize, and we will release some of that information very soon. And finally, just wanted to mention, we do plan in some capacity to test our system as we move into the remote learning experience. We have upgraded our bandwidth. So I do believe that we will have a great opportunity here to provide a great product for our students, for our community, and continue to strive to do so. So that test we will organize, again, to what capacity depends on the number of individuals that we can get into the building and broadcast out to, but we will put together some form of a test and report back. And the last piece, I apologize, just want to mention that Dr. Schneider and Mrs. Tyrell are continuing their efforts in developing with our central office team the new teacher orientation that we do every year. That will take place tentatively on August 25th and August 26th. We are currently looking for a space in one of our facilities to go through the initial meetings, and I will report back as soon as we locate the areas that we will utilize. But again, I just want to thank Dr. Schneider and Mrs. Tyrell for all of their efforts. It is a very, very tedious task to organize all of our monthly meetings and everything that goes into it. So we will get that underway shortly. And that concludes my report.
Thanks, Jason. I just, for the testing piece, I just want to make a suggestion. We have quite a few teachers. What if we did a, kind of a mock meeting with 20 people per meeting, separated out, do up to 5-10 meetings. I don't know how many we can do or how many people we can get involved. But if we broke it up to simulate a number of classrooms with a certain amount of people in it, just to kind of get a small sample size of what's happening. That would probably, I think that would be a good way to start. Doesn't have to be, perfect, doesn't have to be a large amount, but just a number of different ones, just to give a little bit of a stress test to see where we're at.
Sure, I appreciate that recommendation, and I think it's a great one. I also think, although it is getting more into a later date, I think we also have an opportunity during that first week of September to utilize a larger amount of staff members after the initial testing to really stress out that system a little bit more than we were able to prior to the beginning of September. So maybe even in a scaffolded response, we can certainly test that out and make sure that we are far more than capable of providing exactly what we're looking to provide.
So if you're comfortable with that, then I am too. Just want to be sure, we're prepared and, we can try to rectify or mitigate any issues that we might run into, later down the road. That's all.
Absolutely. No, I agree. And thank you. Thank you for the recommendations.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Carter. I think before we go any further, I'd like to acknowledge to everyone in the community that we understand everybody's anxiety and angst about a reopening. We too are anxious to make it work for everyone. We understand and we're working hard to provide more information in a bullet point form so everybody can make informed decisions regarding buildings. We'll have some information about transportation, food service, nursing, PPS. We'll be working on some videos with our building level leaders to give you a look at the new normal that your student could encounter. Obviously, things have changed. We'd like to see them with their mask on, with their mask off, especially for the younger ones. We understand that could be a daunting experience. So we're working hard to make it as easy as we can in this new time. The goal here is to give everybody enough bullet point information so you can make a choice that best suits your family. And I know many people are still deciding, and we should hope to get that information out to you shortly, including all the information that's already out there. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. I need a motion. Judy and Jeremy. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the consent agenda as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We do have some old business. I need a motion for 9.1 to adopt textbooks for the Goshen High School. I got Martha and Mike. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education adopts the following books: How to Read Like a Professor by author Thomas C. Foster for AP English Literature and Composition. All in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
9.2 is old business as well. We talked about this last meeting. Approving remote collection of taxes. Allison and Judy. Whereas due to COVID-19 pandemic and the possibility of community spread, the Board of Education has determined that there will not be in-person payment of the 2020-21 school taxes. Therefore, be it resolved that the 2020-21 school taxes will only be accepted by mail sent to Goshen Central School, P.O. Box 5030, White Plains, New York, 10602-5030, or by online payment through district website, business office, tax bills online portal. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Out of curiosity, why is it going to White Plains? Do we know? Louise?
Hi, so the reason it's going to White Plains is because our bank uses a mail drop box there, and that's where they collect them all.
Okay, thank you.
It's like a processing center versus a branch.
Okay. Thank you, Louise. We'll move on to new business. I need a motion for 10.1. I need a resolution to confirm tax rolls and authorize the tax levy. Jeremy, Allison? Whereas the Board of Education has been authorized by the voters at the annual school meeting to raise for the current budget of the 2020-21 school year a sum not to exceed $76,083,837. Therefore, be it resolved that the board fix the equalized tax rates by towns and confirm the extension of the taxes as they appear on the following described tax roll. Am I reading all this or as presented? As presented. And be it hereby directed that the tax warrant of this board, duly signed, shall be affixed to the above described tax rolls, authorizing the collection of said taxes to begin September 1st, 2020 and end November 4th, 2020, giving the tax warrant an effective period of 65 days at the expiration of which time the tax collector shall make an accounting in writing to the board. It is further directed that the delinquent tax penalties shall be fixed as follows. September 1st to September 30th, interest-free period. October 1st to October 31st, interest of 2% added. November 1st to November 4th, interest of 3% added. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Next on the agenda is 10.2, approve 2020-21 school tax warrant. I got Martha. I got Mike. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the 2020-21 school tax warrant as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 10.3, approval of minutes and transcription for August 3rd, 2020 meeting. Judy? Allison? Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the minutes and transcription for the August 3rd, 2020 regular board meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
10.4 is the resolution that Heather Hendershot gave us the update on. I need a motion to approve agreement for special education services, Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. Jeremy? Allison? Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education enters into an agreement with Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence to provide professional training and technical assistance to promote student development of emotional skills at a rate of $8,000 for the 2020-21 school year. Be it further resolved, the Board of Education authorizes the superintendent to execute the agreement. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Ten point five. Need a motion to approve agreement for services, special education itinerant services. Educational itinerant services. Judy? Jeremy? Be resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves entering into agreement for services with Carolyn Carsley to provide special education itinerant to a special education student during the 2020-21 school year at a rate of $100 per hour. Be it further resolved, the Board of Education authorizes the superintendent of schools to execute the agreement. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? To everybody's happiness, 10.6, we need to revive the resolution for issuance of the Goshen Public Library TAN. This is just basically a date change. Issue date is changed, and that is the only change in this new resolution. That's correct. I think I'm correct. Need a motion? Jeremy? Mike? Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby authorizes the board president or the board vice president in the board president's absence to issue a tax anticipation note in the amount of $418,000 in anticipation of real property taxes to be received from the property owners of the Goshen Central School District for the benefit of the Goshen Public Library during the fiscal year of the school district commencing July 1st, 2020, and renewals thereof, if necessary. The note shall be issued on or about August 14th, 2020, for a period of approximately 48 days, give or take. Said note shall be sold privately to a bank to be determined at the prevailing interest rate, where it shall be redeemed upon maturity, which date shall not extend beyond the close of the applicable period provided in the local finance law for the maturity of such notes. All in favor? Opposed? 10.7, I need a motion to award bid for public sale surplus items. Judy? And Allison. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education awards the sale of the following previously declared surplus items to the bidders listed below at the corresponding price bid, which were received at the public sale bid opening held on August 13th, 2020. All items sold as is with no warranties expressed or implied. As presented? As presented? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next on the agenda is board member issues. Next on the agenda is a motion to close the meeting. Jeremy and Allison, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Everybody have a good night. We appreciate you tuning in. Please stay healthy and safe. Good night.